There are two ingredients of battery. One is unlawful use of force, and the second one, use of force, was intentional. So, use of force to him, either to his body, for example, slapping or pushing or bringing an object in contact with him or his body, for example, throwing water at him, would constitute battery. The second one, that the use of force was intentional, that is, without any lawful justification, is another ingredient of battery. So, in that case, we would like to discuss a leading case, and that is Clanborn versus State of Bihar. In 1969, the Supreme Court held that an live electric wire was fixed without any warning across the passage of the Latin in order to scare away the trespassers. When it caused death of the trespassers, the defendant was held liable for damages. So, these two are the ingredients of battery. Now we'll discuss the very distinctions between assault and battery. And regarding the distinction between assault and battery, Sir Frederick Pollock mentioned that actual contact is not necessary in assault, though it is so in battery. Application of unlawful force to another constitutes the wrong called battery, but an action which puts another in instant fear of unlawful force, though no force be actually applied, is the wrong called assault. Thus, physical contact is necessary in battery, whereas in assault, mere fear of physical violence is enough to constitute an assault. So, an assault is an attempt at battery or a threat to commit battery, where the wrongful act falls short of actual physical conduct or contact but conveys a reasonable apprehension that the party threatening trends immediately to offer violence. This is an assault. For example, if a person angrily advances towards another with the intent of using force and stops her to a mere threat, it will be an assault. But if he comes in actual contact with the other persons, then it would be battery. So, now we'll discuss the defenses on action for assault and battery. So, there are 8 categories and 8 different circumstances under which the defendant shall not be liable either in assault or in battery. These defenses or one is self-defense, the second one is defense of one's property, then the third one, expulsion of a trespasser and retaking of goods, that is the fourth one. Then the fifth one is exercise of parental or quasi parental authority, and the seventh one, leave and license, and the seventh one is preservation of public peace, and the last one is the legal process. So, self defense or defense of one's wife or husband, children, parents, or one's master is always permissible. It would be legally permissible only if it conforms to general conditions such as it was not unnecessary and it was not disproportionate. And the second one, defense of one's property. Assault in defense of the possession of a house, goods, etc. is justifiable provided no mere force or more force is used than is reasonably necessary. And the third one, expulsion of trespassers. If a man enters into or upon the property of another without his permission and with force and violence, the owner is justified in turning him out without a previous request and may use such force as necessary. But if he enters quietly, he must be first requested to retire before force can be used to turn him out. And the fourth one is retaking of goods. The rightful owner or his servant by his command may justify an assault in order to repossess himself of lands or goods which are wrongfully in the possession of another who refuses to deliver them upon another who, upon request, so long as unnecessary violence is used. And the fifth one, that exercise of parental or quasi parental authority. But a husband has, however, no such right over his wife. It only walks over the children. Then the sixth one is regarding leave and license as a defense regarding assault and battery. A man cannot make a grievance of the harm to chances of which he has exposed himself with knowledge and by his free will. For example, in the game of boxing or football or any such game or sports, etc. So, on the principle of voluntary non fit injuria, which is applied in case of leave and license as a defense against assault and battery. And the seventh one, that is preservation of public peace. A person who disturbs a public peace or public worship or meeting may be reasonable force be removed from such public place of worship, meeting, etc. Here also the force should not be more than what the occasion demands, and the last defense taken in case of assault and battery is the legal process. Assault may be justified on the ground that it was done in serving certain legal process that issued by a court of law, including search warrants under the law which are issued by the court of law. So, these are the 8 defenses taken on assault and battery. The first one is self defense, the second one is defense of one's property, and the third one, expulsion of a trespasser from one's land or retaking of goods from a person who unlawfully has occupied or taken the goods from the lawful owner. And then the fifth one regarding exercise of parental or quasi parental authority, and it works over the children, not of a husband over his wife. And regarding leave and license, we found certain sports and games like boxing, football, and other different sports where one is willfully and with sufficient knowledge enter. So there would not be any assault or battery in case of this defense leave and license. And the seventh one, that is preservation of public peace at public places of worship or meeting, etc. So, this is the seventh defense taken on assault and battery, and the last one, eighth one, is legal process, and that legal process consists of any notice or any search warrant issued by the court of law, so it could not be considered as an assault or battery.